Hi everybody, I'm Yeti. Welcome to my Paranormal Tag. So I don't watch a lot of TV, but one thing I do like to watch is YouTube. And one of the YouTubers that I watch, her name is Graveyard Girl, and a while back she did a paranormal tag, and it intrigued me so much that I'd like to do one myself. I'll put her link below so you can check her out. She's got great paranormal videos. And she wrote this tag herself, and I thought was very creative and really hit on a lot of stuff that I think a lot of people would want to know about. So the first question is, how old were you when you had your first paranormal experience? And I don't really know how old I particularly was, but I do know that I can always remember having paranormal experiences. So I am not the only one that has had this experience in that house, in that kitchen. My aunt and uncle used to live in the back and for a little while, and she had flower pots up against the wall in the kitchen. And I mean, like, not like plastic, I mean like big heavy terracotta plants, and she grew plants in the kitchen. And and so she had, you know, all this stuff, and she heard this crash, and she went to look, and these big heavy terracotta flower pots had fallen off of the counter, and they didn't have a cat, they didn't have anything that could have gotten up there and knocked these things down. And I mean, it was just, I knew it wasn't crazy because I wasn't the only one that this happened to. She had also heard in this flower shop, it's haunted. I mean, it's haunted. A lot of people have had experiences there. But you would always hear the bells on the front door would ring. You'd hear the door open and close. And that's because the workroom in the flower shop was kind of behind a wall. And so when they heard the bells ring, they knew a customer was here and they could go around to the front and they could help the customer. Well, you would always hear the door open and close. You'd always hear the bells ringing. And you'd always go up there. You'd even hear footsteps, and nobody would be there. I mean, because it was a house built up on, you know, on blocks. It wasn't like it was on a slab. And so you could hear when somebody was walking, and you would hear, you know, the bells, everything, and you would hear people walking. Nobody would be there. Well, the same aunt that had the flower pots that fell off of the counter, she had heard the bells, she'd heard the door open, she heard footsteps, and they had a dog, and the dog went and actually hid under the bed and was whimpering. And she turned to the door to see who was coming, and she saw a shadow go by, and she could hear the footsteps. It went all the way out past the kitchen and out the back door. So I am not the only one that's had problems in that house. Another experience I had when I was very young, the same age I had to have been when the glass fell off the counter, was they had lots of rooms because they lived back there. And there was an old-timey sewing machine, and I'll put a picture in to show you what I'm talking about. But it wasn't the kind that plugged in. It was the kind that somebody had to sit there and do the pedal to make it go. And I remember, again, you know, as a kid, I must have had nothing to drink because I was very thirsty. I asked my mom, we were having a barbecue over there. I asked my mom if I could have some water. She took me in, and of course she left me there. And so, you know, I was looking for her. You know, I thought maybe she'd gone to the bathroom or something, because I couldn't fathom she'd actually leave me in there, because she knew I was terrified. And I was like, you know, Mom, and I heard a noise in this room, and so I opened the door, and this sewing machine was going all by itself. And of course, you know, I tore out of there because I was terrified, and I told my mom what happened, and, you know, we talked about it with the family. And I was not the only one, again, that had seen that sewing machine going by itself. So, yeah, lots of scary stuff there. And that was from when I was really little. So I don't really have an age. I just remember being very, very young and having my first paranormal experience. Question number 2, have I always believed in the paranormal? And I would have to say yes. I didn't necessarily know what it was called when I was a kid. I just knew I would, you know, I had these experiences, but yeah, definitely I've always believed, yes. Question number 3, what is your favorite place to investigate the paranormal? And I won't say I actually go investigating paranormal. I don't go looking for it. I know that I'm sensitive and I know that I pick up stuff, but there is a ghost tour in my county that I live in, and I do go on that, and I have been on it several times, and it's really interesting, not just for the ghost stories, but for the history of the town. It's fascinating. We've got, a very historical graveyard that is in the town. We've got, famous people that have been, buried there. We even have one famous person that's been buried in the middle of the street. So it's just the history alone is fabulous. I have taken pictures. There have been orbs in my pictures. They talk about, different places you go, like at night with your flashlight and comfy shoes because you're walking the whole town. And it is just so interesting, the paranormal experiences that others have had, the orbs that you yourself can get. It's really interesting. So I do go there. The next question is, what tool do I use? And I don't really use a tool per se. I have a camera to catch the orbs, but nothing else. I don't want to be honest, I don't really want to talk to them. I'm scared. So question 5 is my scariest paranormal experience. And even though I've had a lot that really terrified me, there was one in particular that totally scared me so bad. I was taking a nap in the middle of the afternoon, so it wasn't like it was nighttime or anything. And I was asleep. And all of a sudden, I woke up gasping for air. A spirit had passed through me screaming, "I don't want to die." And it just scared me so, so bad. So that's probably my scariest paranormal experience. The next question is your favorite paranormal experience. And I'm a teacher, and at Halloween we used to have these rotations to where each class would go to a different teacher's room, and we would do something with the curriculum, but more fall related, more, let's be honest, Halloween related, and the kids would have a lot of fun on that day. And one particular time, I was reading a story called The Ghost Eye Tree. It's a fabulous story. Doesn't have anything to do with a ghost at all. And the whole lesson is sometimes you need to reread and rethink what you've read, clarify the information, that kind of stuff. Anyway, so I was reading the story, and what I would do is I would have a jack-o'-lantern sitting off to the side, lit up, and I would have one lamp that kind of moved around where it was just over my book so that I could see it, but they couldn't see it. And we would turn the classroom lights off, and all the kids would gather around really close. So, nobody was left out in the back, that could scare anybody. We were all really close. And I would read the story. And the first time I read it, I wouldn't show the kids the pictures. And I let them know, I'm not going to show you the pictures until after the end when we turn the lights on. And so I read the story, and the kids were just totally engaged, totally, entranced by this story. And one time it had gotten to like a scary part in the story, and the cabinet doors in the classroom actually popped open and creaked, not just once, but like 3 times. And the kids were terrified, and it was so hilarious. We turned on the lights afterwards. We looked at all the pictures and found out what really was making the sound, and it was not a ghost. And in the book. And the kids were like, "Oh, my favorite part was when you got the cabinets to creak open. How did you do that?" And I told them that it wasn't me. And after that experience, we started talking about some experiences that some of my students had had. And some of them, you're like, okay, you saw that on, SpongeBob, because I saw that episode too. But then some kids really did have scary stories, about, like someone coming in and sitting on their bed, but when they woke up, because they felt somebody sitting on their bed, there was nobody there. A lot of stuff. But that was probably my favorite because it totally added to the whole atmosphere of the story that I was reading. But no one got hurt. It was all good. Number 7 is, do I know anyone else that has had a paranormal experience? And yes, I do. Like I said in the previous question, my aunt had seen a spirit. She had had things that had happened, in the same place that I had also. I know lots of people who have definitely had other experiences. I know a couple of people who are also sensitive and can see things and have had experiences. So yes, I do know some people. I'm not crazy. I'm not alone. All right. So the question 8 is, do I have trouble convincing others that the paranormal exists? And I'm gonna say no, because talking to people, you would be surprised at how many people have actually experienced the paranormal. The flower shop that a lot of this stuff has taken place in, we would always try to bring it up with my grandmother because it was her place. It was her flower shop. You know, she owned the house, she owned the property. And so she would never want to talk about it. It's not haunted. She would not talk about it. And then finally one day when she got a lot older, she finally broke down and said, yeah, okay, we're not the only ones that have had experiences. And she does believe it, but she just doesn't want to talk about it. When my grandmother got older, she did sell the flower shop to my aunt and uncle, and we never told the person who took over the flower shop. We never told her that the place was haunted. And one day we were sitting around at a family get-together talking, and she brought it up, and the same place, and over the years, walls have been knocked out. I mean, the house has been, revamped and remodeled. And so, but the place that she said, which she would have occurrences, is the same place where the sewing machine was. She would also hear the door open, the bells ring, some footsteps walking, and no one would be there. Let's see. I had another aunt went to Brazil and actually had an experience with a medium, and she didn't believe any of it at all until she had that experience. So just after an adult, she experienced stuff. I had a friend who him and his friends were doing a Ouija board, and it all went wrong. I don't know who they upset. The doors slammed shut, the lights went out, they could not get the doors open. For quite a while, they were banging on them, let us out, open the door. But the only people that were there were the people in the room doing the Ouija board. So it wasn't like somebody was on the other side of the door, holding it closed. So I've had a lot of people that have had experiences. So no, I don't have problems convincing anyone. Question number 9. Question number 9 is your favorite paranormal TV show or movie. I don't really watch a lot of TV, so I don't really watch any paranormal TV shows. I watched one on BuzzFeed, and it was totally ridiculous. It was funny, but it was totally ridiculous. But I had seen those, that those people were just like making jokes, and it was just funny. But I've seen other people go in the same place where those BuzzFeed people were, and they did have an experience. So I believe. But anyway, so I don't watch a lot of TV, but I do love YouTube, and I've watched all of Graveyard Girl's paranormal videos. I mean, it took me years to watch them all because I'm scared, but I did watch them all, and I love them, and she's just added a couple of more, and I've watched those. So yeah, check those out. I'll link her below. She's fabulous. Question number 10 is, what would be my dream place to investigate? And again, I don't really want to go looking for anything because I'm scared. Have I said that enough in this video? I'm scared. But when I was a little kid, we would go visit my grandmother, the one that owned the flower shop, but she kept that place as a business. People had lived in the back on and off, but she did buy another house somewhere else. And we would go visit her, and on the way home, there was this one road, this 2-lane road that we would use to get home on. And I would be terrified to go home because on this one road, I would always see these people. It wasn't one time, it wasn't a couple of times, it was every time we left her house to go home. I would see these people walking on the side of the road, but when we got close enough, They really weren't there. They looked dark. They looked like figures, like they would be in the shadows. Maybe the lights from the street lamps or something weren't really shining on them, wasn't really hitting them. Back then, now our town is a lot more developed, so we do have more street lamps and stuff. But back then, there really wasn't anything there. So you might have a couple of businesses that had some lights shining on the streets, but for the most part, it was really dark. But I would always see these people walking, and it was either a mom and a daughter, or it was an older sister and a daughter, and they were always walking away, in the same direction that we were going in the car. But like I said, every time we would get up close to them, they weren't there. So that is not really someplace I'd like to investigate, because really I can't investigate the road. But I would like to check in and see if anyone ever passed away walking on that road. So not really investigate like a particular place, but just that incident and who those people were. So question number 11 is, do I like to investigate by myself or with other people? And I feel like I am sensitive, and when there's a lot of people around, there are going to be people who don't believe, and they kind of bring silliness to it. And it kind of disrupts the energy, the paranormal energy. So I would say I'd like to investigate by myself if I did that, but I would never go by myself. If I did go with other people, it would be people who are also sensitive and could pick up things, and who would be a little bit more serious. Question number 12 is my house haunted? And when I purchased this house, I on purpose took pictures of every room. Of course, the realtor says to do that. That way, if you like a home, you can remember what it is, because when you're trying to buy a home, you look at a lot of houses and sometimes they all get run together and you don't remember which house is which. But when I was particularly interested in a house, I would make sure that I took pictures of every room to make sure that there were no orbs in the room, because if there's orbs, then chances are there's going to be some type of spirit in that home. And if you don't know, orbs are little round, looks like little balls of light. So when we bought the house, again, I took pictures in every room. I didn't see any orbs. I thought everything was fine. We had a housewarming party, and a bunch of the kids were in the backyard playing. We were taking pictures, and I was shocked. The orbs in the backyard were just everywhere. I don't mean like, oh, here. No, they were covering the backyard. It was very eye-opening, oh, okay, they're in the backyard. And then I have never really experienced anything. There was a short period of time where, I kind of felt like somebody was watching me. I'd turn around, but nobody would be there. But my daughter, who has gotten more sensitive as she's gotten older, but not normally sensitive. I mean, she believes in it all, but she's not normally sensitive, doesn't pick up stuff. But she was old enough, she was probably in high school, and I'd already gone to work because I would leave earlier than she would. She could drive herself to school. And she said that she looked down, she was in her bathroom, and there was like a hallway into her bedroom. And she said that she saw a girl walk into her TV cabinet. Another time she said she saw a lady in a flowy dress walk into my room, and I wasn't home, nobody was here. So since then, I mean, I could kind of feel something in a certain area of the house, and I did bring in someone who was able to kind of cleanse the area, and since then I really haven't felt anything. It's been okay. So is my house haunted? I'm gonna say no, because if I think about it too much, I'll get too scared. Question 13, and pretty appropriate number for this tag, I might add. Question number 13 is, do you have any paranormal animal stories? And yes, I do. When I was a child, my parents were divorced. My mom had gotten remarried and moved to Houston. And we were in this apartment. It was a 2-bedroom apartment. and the living room was in the front with the kitchen, and then there was like a hallway, and the 2 bedrooms were here, and the bathroom was kind of in the middle of the home. And I was sitting in what would be like my room, and I saw a shaggy gray and white dog floating through the hallway into the bathroom. And again, I was a little kid and freaked me out. Needless to say, I did not like going to her place. But unfortunately, that's not the only one. That animal I did not know, but I've had other experiences. I used to have a cat named Grayson. I love Grayson. He was so sweet. He went everywhere in the house. He followed us around. If we were watching TV, he would be watching TV. He was just so fabulous, and he did get very ill, and he passed. And we did have like doggy doors, and the doggy door like flipped open. Nothing came in. It flipped open, and something jumped on the table. Again, you couldn't see anything, but papers flew everywhere. Jumped on the countertop. Something had fallen off the counter, and like if you were to push on the stove top, it would kind of creak. So we heard a creak, and then apparently Grayson had gone up to the refrigerator because something had fallen off the refrigerator. So and we knew it was him. He used to sleep on the pillow above my head, and I would always feel him jump on the bed, walking across, and he would sleep on my pillow. And after he passed, I remember, he jumped up on the bed and walked up, and he was on my pillow. And I reached up to see if I could, pet him, but, I didn't see or feel anything. Another ghost story, unfortunately, recently, my daughter had a cat, Snickers, and she was very ill, and she passed. She loved being outside. And she, again, we had the pet door, and she would always, go in and out, at her leisure. She was an inside-outside cat. And this particular day, we knew she was gonna go. She was clicking the pet door to go out, but we had put the little plastic thing inside so she couldn't go out. But so it would click, just click, 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 click. So my daughter took the cat out, but a really bad storm was coming in, so she didn't want to just let her go and be out in the bad weather. And so, she took her outside. She held her. She took her outside and let her, look around, sniff the air, so she'd know that the storm was coming and we weren't just trying to be mean to her. And she brought her back in. The cat did pass, and after, like, the vet was there and checked her heartbeat to make sure, she really was gone, we heard the click, click, click of the pet door. And it was not just me. Everybody like turned and looked at the door. And so I got up and I opened the door, because I have heard that when someone passes, you're supposed to open a door, open a window to let the spirit go through. So anyway, I do believe that was her. So I hope you were not too scared. I hope you enjoyed the Paranormal Tag. Subscribe, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and stay tuned. I'm super busy, but I am trying to vlog this Halloween, so stay tuned.